Making a Chef is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi and Methodist Senior Services.
Boxed macaroni and cheese is probably one of my favorite comfort foods from a box, and it's also one of the reasons why I got into cooking. I had to have my mac and cheese as a child. So I'm gonna show you how I like to make my homemade mac and cheese. And it all starts off with a gallon or so of boiling water that you salted with about a tablespoon of salt. That's very important. You need to heavily salt your water whenever you're cooking pasta. This is a pound of elbow macaroni. All right, I prefer elbows just because it's most like the classic boxed macaroni and cheese. You know, you can use whatever kind you want. Use little bow ties, you can use rigatoni, you can use spaghetti. I don't care, the sauce is so good. As soon as you put your stuff in the water, stir it around so it doesn't stick together because there is a lot of starch on that. It could clump up. Put the lid back on, put a timer on for about 8 minutes for al dente. Al dente, it's where you bite into it and it gives just a little bit, but it still holds up firm and it doesn't get lost in the sauce. Now it's time to make the cheese sauce, which in my opinion is probably the most important part of the mac and cheese. You know, it's in the name. So it starts off in a heavy bottom saucepan, and I put in 2 tablespoons of butter and let that melt and let it get brown and nutty, all right? It should be fragrant, it should be lightly browned. All right, the butter's just started to pop and it's starting to smell a little nutty, a little brown. So I'm gonna drop in 2 tablespoons of flour. What we're making is a roux. It's a thickening agent, all right? It's a very important part of when the mother sauces bechamel. And so bechamel is just a milk sauce. You can add cream if you want to get fancy. We're gonna stick with milk, but we're gonna let this get brown and nutty and should smell like toasted grains. About 2-3 minutes. It should be lightly brown in color. All right, it's been about 2 minutes and it's nice and lightly brown and smells very toasty. You know, that's a classic smell in my opinion. One of the classic French smells. Up there with roasting chicken and simmering stock. Right here is 2 cups of whole milk with about 3 to 4 drops of your favorite hot sauce. This hot sauce in here is made for my friend. Very good, very spicy, so I'm only using a little bit. But slowly drizzle it in while you're whisking. You might spill some. Let this go until it's thickened up. 4 to 5 minutes. The starch will gelatinize when it gets a little higher heat, and it'll start to boil and be able to coat the back of the spoon. All right, it doesn't coat the back of the spoon that well, but it will. You can be able to run your finger through it. It's called nappe. Another fancy French term, I know. This pasta's been going for about 8 minutes, so I'm gonna try it to see how the texture is. Always try your pasta. That's perfect. Has a little bit of texture to it, so you bite down, it doesn't just disintegrate, and it holds sauce really well. Put the lid back on and leave that there to keep them warm. Turn the heat off, and we're gonna go back to the sauce. That didn't work. So the sauce has just been boiling for a second. Turn down the heat. Oh yeah, look at that. So you should be able to run your finger through it and leave a line. That's good. Slightly nutty, complex flavors. Oh man, that's good. So right here, I have about 10 ounces total, split between the middle, so about 5 ounces each of pepper jack and sharp cheddar. And so the reasons why I like using sharp cheeses like this, you know, that stuff that really stands out, is because this is a lot of mac and cheese. All right, I want this to be a good sauce. And so if your mac and cheese doesn't taste like mac and cheese, doesn't taste cheesy or anything, something's wrong with your mac and cheese. All right, just add in either cheese first, let it melt, then at the other end. Oh yeah, that looks good. And so, to bump up the flavor, about a teaspoon each of mustard powder, paprika, garlic powder, and salt. Just kind of mix them together. You know, it's been a while arranging these perfectly. Mix those in. That does look good. All right, now it's time to try it. That's good. Really cheesy. That paprika really comes through. But to kick it up a notch, I'm adding the secret ingredient, an egg. Egg will help this come together a little better, emulsify it, add a little extra fattiness and creaminess. So just gonna go ahead and crack it to the bowl. No looker, hope this goes in. It's gonna be a pain to edit out. Would you look at that? Just gonna whisk it up a little bit. And I'm gonna slowly add in about half a cup of milk. So I'm gonna slowly, ladle in a couple ladles fulls of the sauce to slowly temper the eggs. So when I add it into here, it won't curdle the eggs. It won't make scrambled eggs. Try to whisk it in, if you're good with your left hand, and slowly add this in. That does look good. That brings it together. No, it's a more cohesive sauce after that. That's really good. All right, drain your pasta, and we're gonna get it a final shot, and I'll show you how to combine the sauce. All right, so drain the pasta, got the sauce warming up again, been whisking it, get all the last little lumps out. Time for the moment of truth. It's a lot of sauce, but it's a lot of pasta. Well, so I do like my mac and cheese a little really saucy, actually. Now, the more, the better, in my opinion. And so, if you want more cheese, you can add more cheese. Oh man, that looks so good. You know, here's a very basic recipe that might not be as simple as boxed mac and cheese, but you know, a lot better tasting, if you know what I'm saying. Thank you all for joining me on this culinary journey, and I'll see y'all next time.